UFC welterweight Randy Brown, who is back in action next week on the 9th of October. Randy, good to catch up with you, my friend. How are things with you in New York?
Good, man. Good to catch up with you as well. Everything's smooth. I can't complain, man. Can't complain.
I correct me if I'm wrong, but I had a little bit of a look on your Instagram after the last fight. Did you take a little trip out to Jamaica?
Yeah, I'm always in Jamaica, even when I don't post it.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
in Jamaica like every couple of months, just family, business, uh, training, everything. I'm always there.
I did actually want to ask you that, and it's one of the things that I kick myself for not asking you originally. But how often let's say in the average year, how often do you go back to Jamaica?
Three to four times maybe.
Oh, superb.
Yeah, I'm there a lot.
What's the flight connections? Is it a reasonably decent place to get to from New York?
Yeah, only 4 hours. Only
Oh,
4 hours, so it's not bad. Straight flight there and back. I'm there. I go probably 2 weeks at a time.
yeah,
And then, the
superb. Well, I want to talk very quickly about the Cowboy fight because it was such an impressive victory, and as I mentioned off camera, we're 4 or 5 months removed from that great night at UFC 261. But how do you look back on that victory first and foremost?
man, that one was good. It was a fun victory. It was a fun fight. Um, didn't really get out as much as I wanted to get out, but as long as I wasn't injured, I got the job done. I got the W, got 2 checks. I'm happy. So yeah, it was a fun fight, and it was an honor being in there with someone, of his caliber, you
Yeah.
know. So I truly enjoyed that, even though everything got crazy at the end there, I lost my temper and all that, but that's the game.
I had a little bit of a look, and I obviously watch your. Can I ask you a question, by the way, Randy? Where did you study marketing? Because your marketing at the end of that fight to plug your Twitch brand was next level.
Oh man, honestly, I didn't. It was just on the tip of my tongue at that time. I don't know why. I just went with it. I was on Twitch, streaming on Twitch every Friday and Sunday, so I was just like, you know what? I got the mic. What am I gonna say right now that's gonna benefit me besides calling
Yeah,
out another fighter? And I'm unsure of getting that fight, so it was
yeah,
just like, you know what? Well, if I tell people to go to my Twitch to hear what just happened, I'm sure everyone's gonna go. So my Twitch actually more than quadrupled, like 10 times the amount of. I went from having like 800 followers to like 8,000 something. So that was good.
I did want to ask that how much the growth did, but listen, that's part of the game, isn't it? Self promotion. You increase your own brands. You're more likely to get opportunities that you want.
Absolutely, and I have gotten opportunities now, since. So that's pretty cool. So I think that was the right move. Even though I
It,
got some backlash, I still think that was the right move.
it comes across. I actually watched the interview back today. It comes across a little bit. What would the right word be? I don't want to say forced, but a little bit like
Arrogant.
not even necessarily arrogant. It just comes across a little bit unnatural, I think is perhaps the right word. But
Yeah.
listen, if it helps you out and you're saying you get opportunities, that's what we both want.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. And it's funny because I think people kind of have a different sense. I'm always smiling, I'm a
Mm,
nice guy, so people always are like, oh, Randy's so nice. I even like one time my girl went to there's this couple that I always go to. They own a printing company,
mm,
and I always go there to get stuff printed from my dojo, and everything.
yeah.
And she's always, every time they see her, they're like, man, Randy's such a nice guy. He could have been a pastor, but they don't know that I actually fight people in the octagon. Right? And I think just overall, everyone that I meet, they see this, they never really see that side of me. So
Mm.
when they see that side of me, it's kind of like, oh wow, I didn't really expect that from Randy, So, um, but you know what? That's what life is about, and
Yeah.
that's what is being, layered, and that's why ultimately we fight people in the octagon to express ourselves, and
Mm.
that's a side of me that in that moment needed to be expressed,
Yeah.
and emotion. I'm a human being who has real emotions, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that's the emotion that I felt, and that's what was expressed in the moment.
I think why it got so much publicity, if you like, and so much push from all the media companies was that it was quite a cordial fight week, and you'd spoke about how much respect you had for Oliveira and how you were, excited to fight him, and then it seemed to go from 0 to 100, and I think there
Right.
was there was no explanation as to why it would happen. There was no previous history. And then obviously you were very, very secretive with the likes of Joe Rogan about why it happened. There was a little bit of mystery and intrigue to it. Can you elaborate on what actually happened for people who aren't sure?
You know what's crazy, man? It's so stupid. It's so dumb. It's like it's so insignificant, and that's why even when I spoke about it on my Twitch, I didn't really harp on it too
Yeah.
long because um honestly, it literally was this. I posted, Cowboy is known to dance when he comes out
Mm.
to the octagon. And, he doesn't speak English and I don't speak Portuguese. So there's a language barrier there. And I posted something on my Instagram of a guy dancing, right? And I said, this is gonna be me when Oliveira starts to walk out, right? Because I know he's gonna dance. Him and
Yeah.
Mike Perry had the whole dance off thing.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, I just posted that as a joke, like, all right, well, I'm gonna be dancing when he comes out. He didn't understand it, so like he took it as me trying to disrespect him or something
Mm.
like that. So he said he thought that I was saying this is Oliveira, this is what he looks like when he
Yeah.
comes out
Yeah.
when he dances. Um, I didn't know that. I didn't know he took that personal. I didn't think that was a problem for for him. So like backstage, we were all good leading up. Leading up to the fight, I gave him a hug. Like when I saw him, because I'm a fan, man. I'm a fan of the guy. So I was just everything was cool. Everything was just cool leading up to it, man. Every time I saw him, I was just it was just respect. It was just all respect when I saw him, and I just everything when I spoke about in the media, like you said, it was all respect. And then at the weigh-ins, he just got crazy, man, and just like, and even then, I was just in my mind, I was like, oh shit, he really could turn it on, huh? He's trying to get himself in the zone. I still didn't take it personally. It took me off guard, but I still was just like, all right, cool, let's go. We about to fight. And then backstage, he like walked up on me backstage, man. Like we had to be separated backstage. A lot of people don't know this. Like we got physical.
When did you have to be separated? Was this fight night?
Yeah, no. This was right after the weigh-in.
Oh, right. Okay.
Right after the
Wow.
weigh-in backstage. People don't know that. So they see me react like that, and then I'm the bad guy, but they didn't
Yeah.
realize like there's a lot going on. He
Yeah.
approached me backstage and we got physical. And then
Okay.
they broke us up. And then not only once, twice in the rules meeting, Dana's giving the rules meeting, and he's just staring at me from across the room. And I don't know why he's staring at me. I'm like, bro, look at Dana, bro. Dana's talking. Stop looking at me. All right. And he just mean mugging me the whole time during the fighters meeting. And as we're walking through the doors, we come together, same thing. We get physical again. We get a little tussle, that's when Chris Weidman kind of like came behind me, bear hugged me, and then the other guys grabbed him and they broke it up. There's no security there. So the fighters had to break that up. So now at this point, it's beyond just sportsmanship, it's beyond just sport,
Yeah.
So nobody gets to see that. So now they see me reacting and I'm the scum of the earth. You know what I mean? But at that point, it's at my discretion now.
Yeah.
However I want to react after the fight is how I'm gonna react, right? So,
Yeah.
and that's what I did. After the fight, I told him what I told him, and it is what it is. And then, but we buried it, whatever. And now, my manager goes to his manager and starts talking. His manager speaks English and Portuguese. We explain the situation, and he's like, "Oh," and then he apologized, and then
Yeah.
we were all. I apologized as well, and then we're all good.
Yeah.
And that's that.
So we always hear this, don't we? But I think we saw it Saturday night with Ortega and Volkanovski. The whole beef's been settled, but that's a real example yourself and Cowboy where you had a disagreement, a misunderstanding. The beef's been
Yeah.
settled, and then, but probably presumably both of you apologize, and it's all done.
And it's all done. Sometimes it's beyond just the entertainment. Sometimes people like there's beef and it's fabricated beefs, and sometimes there's real beefs. And when you fight, it's done, right? And it's like it's a hug, you love, whatever. But honestly, not all the time is gonna be that way, man. It doesn't have to be that way all the time. You know what I mean? Especially if things were said or things got physical or it was up to the winner's discretion. Because if you watch my Twitch, so I explain it. There's a lot of room for when we're arguing back and forth, there's a lot of room for one person to, oh, he clowned him because he had no comeback. This is not a debate. We're fighting.
Yeah.
So I'm like, if I'm just quiet and then it's funny, he's gonna get all the media attention and the fans like, oh, he's hilarious. He shitted on him. Oh, it's so funny. And I'm not saying anything. So now when I fight and I win, guess what?
Yeah,
it's my turn now.
Yeah.
It's at my discretion now. Now it's my turn. and some people you can either decide to be that way or not,
Mm.
and it's totally fine. I think so. You can't say all that stuff and let somebody beat you up after that, especially in the first round.
I'm going to ask you a very difficult question here, Randy, but I want to ask you it because I think it's quite intriguing.
Mhm,
If Oliveira had have beaten you, and obviously he never, but say he did, how do
mhm.
you think he would have reacted as the winner in comparison to yourself as the loser?
I don't know. I can tell you, and it's fun, and it doesn't say anything about my character or his. Even if he reacted the way I did,
Mm,
right, or if he
yeah,
didn't react the way I did, I
no,
know how I felt. I know how I would have reacted,
yeah,
irregardless of whatever it was.
yeah,
So I don't think it mattered at that point.
yeah. Superb. Well, listen, it was a fantastic performance, and I think perhaps your performance, that beautiful right hand you hit and with, and then the one arm rear naked choke was to a certain extent clouded by the controversy afterwards. But I think it's very important that we stress how good you looked in there in April. But one thing I did want to ask, you're massive. You got a massive frame for 170, massive long frame, but you look bigger than I think I've ever seen you, Randy. Have you been doing extra strength and conditioning workouts, or is that just my eyes deceiving me?
Yeah, lots of strength and conditioning. And again, I'm maturing, man. I'm just entering into my prime in this game, So a lot's changing. A lot's gonna change the more and more you see me. It's this constant evolution. But yeah, man. Just strength and condition program things I've been picking it up. You know, uh, nothing really changed other than just me doing more strength and conditioning and
Yeah.
trying to get stronger. For that fight, I wanted to be very strong. For that fight in particular. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Not much.
I watched the Luque fight back, and then I watched the Olive. I think it's probably just my eyes deceiving me, but maybe it's the hair as well. You had longer hair
Yeah, I
against
had a
Luque.
lot of
Yeah,
hair at that
yeah,
time.
maybe. Yeah, I
But
actually.
me remember, I told you what happened in Luke fight. I never rehydrated properly. My weight cut was terrible, man. I that thing
You,
got
you, you
shot.
didn't tell me this. What can you elaborate? Wait, you honestly didn't mention this when we first
Oh
spoke.
no, I may
No.
have as someone else, but that fight, man, and listen, I don't want to discredit Luke in any kind of way. Luke is a
Yeah.
phenomenal athlete, a great fighter, and kick my ass in there, right? But I was a shell of myself, man. If anybody that knows me, seen me fight, my fight style, you
Yeah.
can obviously tell that something was wrong.
Mm,
I'm looking up at the clock in round one. I'm gassed,
yeah. Yeah.
gassed in round one. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of things, with the COVID restrictions and
Yeah.
not being able to train and training in my backyard, and it was a whole mess. But um, it was what it was, and you just gotta get we gotta just move forward from there. But yeah, I wasn't able to rehydrate back to where I was, so you can see I was definitely smaller than
Mm.
normal in that fight.
I didn't know that information previously, but did you ever hear a piece of information and then when once it's been told, you think now it makes sense?
Makes sense.
You didn't look like yourself. You actually did look smaller, and as you say it, you
Mhm.
didn't look like you had one thing you've never been known for is gassing in a fight. It's not never really been an issue that's plagued you, I wouldn't have said, but as you mentioned there, it's kind of the all the dots have been put together, if you like.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Well, looking up at the clock is never a good sign, especially for
Mm.
me. You see me looking at the clock around one, it's oh shit, that's a problem.
Well, let's turn the conversation a little bit back to the fight at hand. So first and foremost, you're fighting Jared Gooden next Saturday, October 9th. This seems to have come out a little bit out of nowhere. Is this a short notice fight, or how long have you known about this booking?
It's a little bit short notice. It is a little bit short notice, but you know, I already had plans to fight at that date, maybe with another opponent, but that opponent wasn't able to make the date. So there was a lull in between that where I didn't think I was going to fight.
Okay.
But you know, UFC came through and I feel like they had to they were like in a tight place to put that
Yeah.
together, So they kind of just threw it together. He wanted to fight. He was a guy looking for a fight that wanted to fight. They knew I was scheduled to fight. So they just put us together, and it seems like I see everybody saying it's kind of like a mismatch or uh odd matchmaking, but I don't think so, man. I don't.
Okay.
I think that he's a tough opponent. And honestly, he only has 3 fights in the UFC, but I still think he's very dangerous, big punching power, and stylistically, just the way that we both fight, I believe it'll make for a good one for the fans, entertaining.
I did want to ask you about that because if you look on the unofficial ranking websites, the likes of Tapology, I think you're in the 20s, 21, I think, if memory serves, and Gooden's round about the 70, 80 mark. So it could be viewed as a maybe not a mismatch because we will know that next Saturday, I suppose, but perhaps a strange booking. But is this one of these where it's more circumstantial, if you like? You both you guys want to fight on a specific date and you're in the same weight division and it all falls into place?
Absolutely, absolutely. I think that's what it comes down to. But also, I do think that the UFC knows what they're doing, and looking at his style versus my style, I think that they know that it'll be, it'll be a banger.
Yeah. Because obviously this fight's co-main event, and we obviously talked about it being, let's say, reasonable short notice, couple 3-4 weeks, something like that. I think this is one of these where we add a little bit of firepower into to a card which doesn't have the strongest fan appeal main event, and you guys hopefully blow the roof off the place.
Absolutely, absolutely, man. I think I'm gonna steal the show. That's what I think. I think we're gonna steal the show 100%.
What did you make of his last win? The short notice first round knockout of Nicholas Stolze.
They loved it, man. They loved it. We went viral again down there, and just all love, man. It's always all love. And everyone's excited to see me get back in there and do it again and represent. So, and I'm happy to do that.
So what did you make of Gooden's last win against Nicholas Stoltz? What did you make of that performance in his last fight?
I thought he looked phenomenal. I thought he looked great. I thought he looked powerful. He
Mm.
looked a lot better than he did against Nurmagomedov. So he's improving. He's improving. He came out with a strong pace. I like his pace. He starts the fight fast, and furious. So um, those are the styles that I like. So he's impressed me. He's impressed me so far.
Something that's come through with both of our conversations. You mentioned then specifics about Gooden, about his pace. And I know when we spoke about Cowboy, you mentioned some of the specifics of him. You thought he's strong. You thought he looked strong in the clinch, was something I always remember you saying. How
Mhm.
much tape do you watch on your opponents? Are you someone who studies the whole career, or are you someone who watches highlights here and there?
I watched their last 3 to 4 fights.
3 to 4.
I watched it a few times earlier in camp, and then I let my coaches do the rest. I don't really obsess over it, but as the fight's a fight, it's gonna be what it's gonna be. I just kind of see how the patterns are of how he's gonna be, structured
Yeah.
initially, and then I just take it for what it is. And then honestly speaking, I think that just skill for skill, I think that and it still takes nothing away from him or saying that it's not gonna be a great fight because I still think it's gonna be a good fight. I still
Mm.
think he's tough, but I still believe I get this fight done anywhere and anyhow I want to.
Well, obviously, Gooden's 1-2 in the UFC, two decision losses against Alan Jouban and Abubakar Nurmagomedov. So, what have you? Is there anything you feel like you can take from them two losses specifically that you could adapt into your game?
Absolutely. I well, arguably, he might have, it was a close fight with Alan Jouban,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
we don't know with that one. But there's a few things. There's a few things we've been working on. There's just patterns and things that he does and things that we're gonna look to exploit. But again, it's a fight, man, and we're gonna have to see on the night.
I know you can't tell me specifics. By some stretch of the imagination, Jared Gooden, you tell me you're working a specific technique, and then he sees this, of course. So I appreciate your honesty there, but obviously co-main event, which was something we talked about last time as well, about how you like being on these big cards. And as I mentioned, it's not a massively loaded card. There's obviously interesting fights up and down it, but co-main event slot. So what's your opinions on that? Do you like being in this spotlight?
Um, it doesn't matter to me. It really doesn't. It's still we're just gonna fight.
Yeah.
Ultimately, it's just a fight, and regardless of the lights and the cameras and fans, no fans. I personally like with the fans, but ultimately it just is a fight. And I try not to sensationalize it and make it more than what it is.
Mm.
So doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. And it's a smaller card, so it doesn't feel like if it was on the garden or something and in the garden in New York and they're like co-main event, then maybe, but it's a smaller card. I see people kind of, saying the card is not that stacked. So,
Mm.
so being in that position is for me, I'm just taking it like it's another fight. But
Yeah.
if you heard me before, I used to like being on the small cards because the chances of getting a
Yeah.
bonus are high. I really
Yeah.
like that. But but also, you know, it's less eyes, less
Yeah.
eyes. But either way, if I have a good performance and blow the roof off that place, regardless, the eyes that need to see it will see it.
I did want to ask about that, the MSG card coming up in November. Are you surprised you haven't been lined up with a booking for that? Because that's hometown territory.
Bro, bro, I don't understand it, man. I don't understand New York Commission. I don't understand New York. I'm more New York than everybody on in the UFC. I am the New York guy. Like
Yeah,
I'm the guy. I'm not Long Island, New York. I'm not upstate New York. I'm like in the boroughs. I'm New
yeah,
York. You know what I
yeah.
mean? Like, so I don't know. We'll figure that out with New York Commission and the UFC at some point. But it only makes sense. And I fought at the Barclays before. I fought in the Garden before. Just makes sense for me to be on that card. But we'll see what's what. Maybe if I get this done quick enough, maybe we'll get a quick turnaround. We'll see.
Top 5 pound for pound fighters out of the state of New York. Who comes to mind on your list? You're obviously number one,
Um,
of course.
absolutely. Well, Matt Serra,
Okay.
um, Enzo Gracie,
Yeah.
um, Chris Weidman,
Yeah. Of course.
um, Andy Brown. All right. One more. In New York. Mm, pound for pound, we would have to go back. But what I really like is I like Jay Haran, man. I like Jay
Good shot.
Haran.
Good
Oh,
shot.
Gregor Gillespie.
Oh, of course. Yeah. Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's obviously Aljo as well, and Maraba Serra-Longo as well. But
Yes, Marab, Aljamain. Yeah, completely forgot.
it happens sometimes, doesn't it? It's like the question at the end where I ask for any sponsors, and a lot of fighters always go, "I'm going to forget one." So whoever it is, don't take offense. Well,
Man.
well, listen, I want to turn the conversation back to the fight. And listen, you've detailed what you think of Gooden as an opponent, but I am going to ask you for the cliche prediction, Randy. What happens when you're locked in there next Saturday against Jared Gooden?
Um, you know, it's hard to say specifics, but I will tell you, what I said before. And again, no disrespect to the guy or not that I'm looking past him in any
Yeah,
kind of way, because I do think he's a legit tough guy.
yeah,
Um, on a serious challenge. But I believe I get the job done wherever I choose to get the job done in this fight. Um, on the feet, or on the ground. I think that I'm just the better martial artist when it comes right now. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
I think that he's just got a little bit of ways to go.
Superb. Well, fantastic fight. Very much look forward to seeing you back in action, and very thankful that we could connect again and catch up.
Oh man, thank you, man. Thanks for having me.
Before we finish, Randy, how can people find you on social media?
Social media. My social media is touch letter N GO underscore. That's touch and go underscore on Instagram and Twitter. Oh, also I'm on Twitch. You already know. Touch
Of
and go
course.
170 on Twitch. Gotta shout out to Twitch. And I'm on YouTube. I'm more active on YouTube now, and I'm putting out vlogs. So if anyone's interested in seeing just what my life consists of, um, just hanging out with me in between fights and all that, or going to train, I got a YouTube channel called Rudeboy TV. So Rudeboy Space TV, and that's it. But if you can't find that, you can hit all the links in my socials. The links in
Yeah.
my socials will bring you straight to my YouTube.
We also can't forget your podcast, The Bro and the Pro. Talk to me a little bit about that before we go as well.
Ah man, that the podcast is doing well, man. The podcast is actually growing. It's funny. Um, if you haven't checked it out, anyone that's watching this that hasn't checked out my show, check it out. And what makes it unique is that it's on Twitch, and anywhere else you can listen to podcasts.
Mm.
Also on YouTube, we post some of the episodes on YouTube. Is that what makes our show unique? Is that it's not like a super professional type of show. It's kind of just us talking about. It's just two bros talking about sports, and we interact with chat. So it's kind of how the average person talks about sports, the average fan.
Yeah,
We don't really have any, we're not like suit and tie professional
yeah,
takes. So it's not for kids. It's a lot of cursing and
I did
craziness.
want to say that. Yeah, it probably is PG-18.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So it's a little wild, but it's fun. It's a good time. So come hang with us and chat with us, man.
Can I ask as well, very quickly, just off the cuff, because sometimes I'll go up, I'll message Randy about seeing if we can get him back on for a quick interview, and I'll type in Randy Brown on the search bar, and it doesn't come up, and then I go touch and go. Why the name touch and go? What does that mean?
It's my style, man. It's my style of fighting. You know what I mean? If you know, as you know, Muhammad Ali had sting like a float like a butterfly, sting like a bee, right? And
Yeah,
it's just a fight style. It's that exact fight style. You know what I mean? It's touch and go. You know what I mean? I
yeah,
touch you, and then I'm gone. You can't hit me. There's nothing to hit. You know what I mean? I go, you never go. That kind of
yeah,
stuff. You know? So,
yeah,
just a fight style. It just stuck with me since I was younger. That's just the way I move. Everyone's always like, yeah, touch and go. You
yeah,
know? Every time I'm sparring, or my coaches, sparring isn't going my way, and I'm getting in a bad rhythm of
mm,
just sitting and slugging,
yeah,
my coach is always yelling, touch and go,
yeah.
touch and go. So just get me moving my feet, moving my head, and just, being slick and being myself.
I remember I think I reposted on my story a couple of months ago the video you've got on your Instagram with the I can't remember what type of bag it is, but when you're doing the head movement drills with the bag and it's in
Oh, the
slow
slip bag,
motion.
yeah.
Yeah,
Touch and go, baby.
that's if you want to get an example of touch and go, that's the video to go to. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And before we finish, I give this opportunity to everyone. Anything you want to say, sign off with, sponsors you want to plug, the floor is yours.
Nah, man, just shout out to my team. Shout out to Budokan Martial Arts, Belmore Kickboxing, all my training partners that's helped me throughout this camp, watching. And oh, shout out Paradigm Sports.
Yeah,
And that's it. Yeah, man.
superb. Thanks for your time today, Randy.
Thank you, man.